I want us to sort of meditate on, or, as we say, just let marinate, is, what if who we teach and the power they possess was considered just as relevant as what we teach and how we teach? So what if who we teach and the power they possess was considered just as relevant as what we teach and how we teach? And a little bit later, after lunch, we're going to hear from Artist Theme, which is going to come at y'all with a little more of this, talking about the self as superhero. All right? And I think it's, again, coming full circle to how we started off talking about the power that young folks possess, the literacies that young people walk into the classrooms with. And I got a lot of my thinking about this in conversations with Jabari Meharry, who heads the education department at Berkeley. Jabari's a really brilliant dude, does a great James Brown impersonation. But Jabari has mentored a bunch of PhDs at Berkeley and has led a lot of studies on high school students and middle school students in thinking about what they walk into the classroom with, the literacies that they walk into the classroom with. And so the basic assumption is that no one is illiterate, but rather we all have different kinds of literacies, right? We all know something about something. So if you can tap into literacies, the power that young folks walk into the classroom with, you will be equipped with new tools to more effectively do your job, right? To actually connect with them based on what they know. Now, in practice, what does this mean? Like, what's the practical application of this idea? I remember the first year that I created this course at Columbia University where we took undergraduate and graduate students into Rikers Island for half the semester to teach arts-based literacy workshops. And so we're thinking we're going to totally revolutionize these young brothers who are locked up. We're going to bring in the Black Panther Party. We're going to get them all, amped up on Huey and Eldridge Cleaver. We're going to have them read all this stuff they never read before. We went in the first day with Assata Shakur. We're like, yeah, Assata. Assata broke out of prison. They're like that, right? These brothers were like, who the hell is Assata Shakur? I don't want to know about no Assata Shakur. And we're like, why wasn't it connecting? One of the kids was like, oh, wasn't that like Tupac's auntie? They were like, oh yeah, that's right. Tupac Shakur, Assata Shakur, she was, his mom was pregnant with him when she was locked up. She was pregnant with Tupac. Yeah, that's right, because Tupac used to talk about the Black Panthers. He had that conscious side, and he was a hustler too. That's why he had both sides to him, and it became this whole other thing. And I didn't realize it, but Tupac was like Jesus at Rikers Island, right? They loved Tupac, but we went in with our own assumptions about what they wanted to know, rather than going in with a sense of what they actually were interested in. So we revamped our whole process. The next year, we spent several weeks doing one-on-ones with students who were going to be in the class, just asking them, if you were stranded on an island, what would be the 5 records you want to have, or the 5 songs on your iPod, right? Who's your favorite artist? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite video game? What's your favorite hobby? We did a survey. Then we put that into a big database. We created a list, okay? We had the top 10 rappers that the brothers who were going to be in this class listened to. So we knew Tupac and Biggie were up towards the top. At that point, Lil Wayne was like, man, he was actually was top 25. Lil Wayne was maybe like number 18, But the next year, Lil Wayne went from like 18 to like 3, right? Because he became more popular. He put out a lot more music. So I couldn't assume that they wanted to talk about Public Enemy or Run DMC or KRS-One, the rappers I grew up listening to, because they were like, that's old school, My 8-year-old son, I put on, Chameleonaire, who had a hit song 2 years ago, I put him on. My 8-year-old son was like, oh, Daddy, that's so old school. That was a hit 2 years ago, right? But the idea is that we have to be responsive, right? This is why this word is so important. We have to be responsive, not just generally responsive to Black kids, Latino kids, or to what we think they want to learn. We have to be specifically responsive to the interests and needs of the students in our class. And I do that now. My first day of class, I'm teaching in Brooklyn at Long Island University in the Brooklyn campus this year. And the first day of class, I hand out 3x5 cards. Favorite rapper, favorite artist, favorite poet, favorite book. I want to know. I added a new question. Now my new question is your dream date. So like if you could go out on a date with anybody throughout history, right? Two people you would want to sit down from beginning of time and have dinner with and talk to. You know, who would be those two people? You know, some really interesting responses, you know. Everybody from Oprah to Hitler has ended up on the list, right? You know, so you get these amazing responses, but it gives you some equipment, some clay to sculpt into your lesson plans, all right? So Jabari, one of his students named Ernest Morrell, wrote a book called Linking Literacy and Popular Culture. Great book. I totally recommend folks check it out. He's one of Jabari's students. Jabari also has another book called What They Don't Learn in School. All right, which talks about, it's a collection of pieces written by former graduate students of his, where they talk about linking classroom lesson plans to the novelas, to cartoons, to animated, to graphic novels. You know, all the different things that they're experts on, linking lesson plans to that material. So Jabari talks a lot about what young people learn outside of school. Lonnie Guinier, who was a mentor of mine, a warrior, lawyer who you know, changed my life in so many ways, has a powerful book called The Miner's Canary, which isn't specifically about education, but the metaphor, the allegory of the miner's canary is, I think, a powerful way for us to think about some of these issues, some of these problems. She pushes storytelling, because she says, across cultures, storytelling is one of the things that, you know, we all cherish, right? Different kinds of stories, different forms of stories. And I'm going to share one last piece with y'all before we break for the last time before lunch. And the story of the miner's canary, very simply, is that, you know, the canary, this beautiful bird, who we can see, you know, spread its wings and fly across the sky, has been taken into the mine shaft so that the miners can determine exactly how toxic the air is down there in the mine. Now, the canary has a much more fragile respiratory system than the human being, so if the canary starts to, like, you know, flounder and fall and dies in the mine, we know that it's not going to be a safe place for the miners to work, all right? So Guinier says now we could, you know, look at the canary and rig the canary to some sort of a gas mask and put it into the mine and make it work, right? You know, but that would just save the canary. It wouldn't really do anything for these miners who have to go and do their work in the mine. So the idea is that the canary, who is more vulnerable to the toxic fumes in the mine, is a signal, is a sign, gives us a sense of the broader problems, the bigger problems that the other folks who enter the mine will have to face. So this is a way of thinking about social problems, thinking about education, thinking about communities, different communities, Black communities, Latino communities, thinking about the gender issues and how women still to this day get paid 70 cents on the dollar compared to men, how women experience the threat of violence in a way that men don't always experience. But we think about those problems like we think about the canary, which is to say that if we realize that there are other members of our communities that are vulnerable to these threats, we want to not just solve the problem for their specific needs, but we also want to solve the problem because it affects all of us, because we all end up being in the mine shaft. And if it's not safe for any one of us, it's not safe for any of us. As Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, all right? So this is the larger metaphor that Guinier gives us, and it's a story that she uses to emphasize the power of storytelling for drawing connections between different folks. And I want to share this last piece with you all as you go into your last breakout section and think about this question of what if who we taught, who we teach, and the power they possess, the power they walk into the classroom with, was deemed just as relevant as what we teach and how we teach. And I'll leave you with this piece. All I got is some fish and a few loaves of bread. And a whole lot of folks have got to get fed. All I got is some fish and a few loaves of bread and a whole lot of folks to feed. But if 7 seas were made in under 7 days, if the first man was forgiven when he misbehaved, if a twig was taken from a tree by a dove to a boat that was built before a flood, if a tower was being built to see who the man was when suddenly people were speaking in tongues, if someone was told to sacrifice his own son and told to hold up just before he was done, then the fish and the bread that I just said is all that I got. It's all that I need for me to get fed and for me to feed a whole lot of folks in need. Because they set me on fire. But when they look back, I was chilling with my brothers Shadrach and Meshach. I threw down with an angel all through the night, then got him to bless me when I won the fight. And then I had to fight like 10 older brothers for jocking my triple fat goose in many colors. And because I had this dream they hated about them bowing to me. So they sold me out to a band of bandits who later on landed near where the water when they was commanded to stop and drop before blowing its top up into this ship I was in when I got this fish that I found while fishing around underwater where the daughter of the Pharaoh once found the child who was chosen to force the Pharaoh to free his folks from a foreign land, or prepare for plagues all across the land. Prepare every woman, prepare every man, prepare every child. All you got is that rod in your hand. All you got is that rod and a guy you don't know. How the hell you gonna get Pharaoh to let us all go? All I got is some fish and a few loaves of bread. And a whole lot of folks have got to get fed. All I got is some fish and a few loaves of bread and a whole lot of folks to feed. But I believe I can part the sea now and then put it back together again. I believe I can kill any giant dead if I believe in my heart. I'd bust him upside his head with a stone that's his throne from the sling I would cling before we were crowned. Back when we were kings, back when we were able to see prophecy. Says the whale is going to save you, son. Just jump in the sea. When a holy woman was no hoe because she conceived immaculately. And a good baby daddy was something even God could be. Or we could heal the sick and we could make the blind see. Because miracles wasn't profit motivated like the medical industry. We believed in believing. So I believe in belief. And I believe faith can come in the night like a thief and knock out each of uncertainty's teeth and take away all of your disbelief, because the faith that forced Pharaoh to end slavery tells me it's about time my people was free. And the faith that lived through leprosy is the faith that will live through HIV, because the faith that got us the presidency is a faith that can make a mountain get out of bed. A faith I believe is able to spread a few little fish and a few loaves of bread to feed all the folks who got to get fed. I believe I can make wine out of tap water. And I believe I can tap, tango, break dance, and walk on water. And I believe the children are the future. We should teach them well and let them lead the way and show them all the beauty they possess inside and give them a sense of pride. And I believe I can fly. I believe I can soar. See me running through that open door, and believe it or not, I'm walking on in. Never thought I could be so free, but I believe in flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. But believe it or not, I'm just we. And believe it or not, the fish that we got and the bread, some have said that's all that we got, that's all that we need for us to get fed and for us to feed a whole lot of folks in need. Thank you.